All right, it's day one of SEC Media Days down here in Hoover, Alabama. I'm Jason Butt with the Telegraph. He's Mike Niziolek with the Ledger-Inquirer. We're going to talk about the Florida Gators. The Gators came out here today on day one, went second after Auburn. One of the things that stood out to me was the fact that the idea of them starting 10-1 and being a championship team at that point, or whether Jim McElwain thought they were a championship team. And he gave a pretty interesting answer. What did you think about what he had to say about that?
Well, the players too. Jared Davis talked about, last season, a really positive, step forward for the program, left a bad taste in their mouth, and that speaks to what the expectations were kind of going into that final stretch. They lost their last 3 games, didn't look particularly strong in any of them, and so this was a team that, everything was going right, but they're sitting here today saying, what we could have done better. So it's interesting how much motivation they had going forward into this season from last year.
Right, and with Jared Davis and Marcus May coming here today, clearly the strength is going to be on the defensive side once again. Some news that Jim McElwain brought were that offensive players Treon Harris and Antonio Callaway are back on campus. It hasn't been resolved yet, whatever the disciplinary issue is, but they are back on campus. They're going through workouts. They're in the academic center. Doesn't sound like they're necessarily back with the football team yet.
Yeah, he said there was no long-term plan for when they would come back. So obviously, probably not counting on them for the fall at least to kind of contribute.
Right, and Callaway, a deep threat. That's a guy that they would love to have back. Treon Harris got moved from quarterback to receiver. Last thoughts on Florida quarterback position. They obviously have a guy, Luke Del Rio, Jack Del Rio's son, Austin Appleby. What did you make out of what people had to say about that?
Well, McElwain seemed to have confidence that it's going to be better this season, that they're going to be able to stretch the field, something they weren't able to do last year. He spoke, in positive terms about the competition and about each guy. It remains to be seen what they'll be able to do, because this is another team where defensively they're going to be so strong that the offense just kind of needs to put something together, not much, to keep them in games.
That's what we got on the Florida Gators from day one of SEC Media Days. Thanks for tuning in.